on, darling.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Have a look at nature this morning. Right here, the sun is shining brilliantly. Not many clouds. I can't see any clouds from this window. There's a lot of clarity there. And nature is always at ease. Even the seeming turbulence is there at times. There's no clinging to it in nature. Just arises, happens, and dissipates. Constantly ever changing, but never changing, because it's still only nature. And it's still only appearing in this cognizing emptiness, what they call a cognizing emptiness, or which to me means a knowing emptiness. Just pure knowing that everything is as it is, and allowing it to rest as is. It's transient, it'll change, and if we think things are not going right now, have a look at the things that weren't going right last week or last year. They might not have righted themselves in the way you think they should, but it's balanced itself out, always and ever does. And if I'm not contributing it by making it, believing it as this or that, or should be something else, what? It's functioning quite all right. Now have a look at our minds. We believe we are this person, this body-mind, this separate entity, this individual. And so, with that belief comes the idea that I am separate, that I am an individual, I am a person, and I need to do this, or stop doing that. Constant concepts coming up and dividing into the opposites. And I have the belief that there is a person here needing to do something. And while that belief is going on, what time is there, or when is there going to be any ease? Ease comes about every night when I fall asleep. And if I don't dream, it can be a very comfortable night. And when I do dream and seem to get involved in the dream, when I wake up in the morning, where does that dream go? Disappears. If it was a very hectic dream or a nasty dream, there can be some recalling of it. But if it wasn't, it's just passed naturally and effortlessly. And the sleep wasn't turbulent at all. The pure sleep was being at ease. There was a calmness there. There was a peace there. And awaking and going to this waking dream, the apparent turbulence begins again. It's this, it's that, it's something, it's how, when, why, what for, should I, shouldn't I? all concepts, all thoughts or words. What happened to them when I was in deep sleep? Could I say I wasn't aware then? How would I remember the sleep ever happened if that awareness hadn't been there? They call it non-conceptual awareness. Awareness without a concept. And we start looking for a thing called awareness, which is another label or word. All this takes place, all these problems take place because we've acquired words. And believe that the words are real. And believe that we had a beginning, that we'll have an ending. And it'll be good, it'll be bad, it'll be this, it'll be that. And you can see why 99% of people who think that way in the world is as it is. It's floating along all right, but it's the concepts and ideas and beliefs we put on it. The sense of separation, the sense of insecurity, the sense of the personal and the individual, the me. And every believed in me has these different concepts and ideas. We might find people with similar concepts will align with them and form political parties or divide ourselves into country, colour, shape, form, image, and discriminate everything and set ourselves up as separate patterns, shapes and forms. And go along with that and try and straighten out the world. Mm-hmm. People have been doing it for thousands of years. Fought wars over it, destroyed each other, taken each other's territory. Have they found the answer? They haven't. It's still going on today. Yeah. Each seeming country or civilization rises, hangs around for a while, then it falls apart. Mm-hmm. Like the countries to this day are falling apart. Roman civilization, Greeks, Carthaginians, many others, Hebrews, all come and all gone. British Empire, it's fallen away. America has taken itself up and look at it, what's happening to it now. It's falling apart like everything else. And this will be, and as in nature again, the ice ages have been, what global warming has been, it's all come and it's all disappeared.
We have the request from Catherine and James. Could you speak on seeming need for security?
The need for security?
Seeming need for security, yes.
Well, while we've got this separate belief in this person, that comes about us, that insecurity comes about us when we first learn words. And you can believe that I am little Billy or little Johnny or little so-and-so, whatever my name must be. And I look out there and see that that doesn't fit little Johnny. So that's not me. That's not I. And I feel separate from it. And with the sense of separation comes isolation, insecurity, and vulnerability. That's when the insecurity starts, when we believe this person. And while ever that belief is going on, there'll be continued insecurity there. It comes about with the capacity of reasoning, which is a very useful capacity. When we learn words and that capacity of reasoning, very useful. But it's self-destructive when we put the beliefs in all these concepts. What happens if I believe, or if I don't believe, if I know that I am no thing? I have no sense of individuality, of separation or insecurity when I'm living or expressing just as it is, just being in the ease of being, or being at ease, just as it is, uncontaminated, unconstricted.
Yes, Jesse says, see the passing show as a passing show.
Exactly. It is all a passing show. But do we leave it as a passing show? How often do we fixate on what she or he said to me yesterday that I didn't like? And I'm going to take umbrage at it. I'm going to be disappointed. Or I don't like my job. Instead of leaving it as it is, we're trying to find another or moving away. Fixating on it, staying in the static. And yet there is nothing static in this manifestation. It's constantly changing, constantly transient. No centre to it. See, this, what's relating to it is this believes in centre, me or I. Me or I is just another word, another label we put upon ourselves. Instead of saying that it's not separated, it is absolute. It is absolute functioning, again in nature. Where is nature separating itself? Whatever comes up, it is left as it is. Winter's not saying, I wish it was summer. Day is not saying, I wish it was night. The seasons coming and going, the tides coming in and out. The droughts, the floods, everything is being as it is, unaltered, unmodified, uncorrected, quite at ease. We are in constant conflict, relating to this person, this separate entity. Have a look, investigate it. Is there such a thing as a separate? It appears. Have a look out there in a manifestation again. Everything appears to be separate, but it's all things vibrating into seeming different patterns, shapes and forms, which we call things, appearing in that basic screen of space, silence and stillness or emptiness. And Buddha told you that when he said emptiness is form. It is that emptiness, and it's called it a cognizing emptiness. It is that emptiness which has the capacity of cognizing or knowing or reasoning. And in that cognizing and forming, we're dividing and seeing and separating ourselves into all these different things. All appearing in that space-like or silence, which is no thing, because space doesn't have any shape or have any form, just like silence with the absence of sound. You can't say it's there or not there. So no thing, we call it nothing. And when we say nothing, we think of zero, zelf, nothing. But it's no thing, it hasn't shaped form, though all these things still appear, are still seemingly so. A phenomenal manifestation. The definition of phenomenon is that which appears to be, or it seems to be so. That's why it needs to be investigated. And instead of doing what we're doing when we believe we are this entity that was born, and we add to it, keep adding to it concepts, ideas and images, recognising the true nature. We are the absolute essence. And there's a saying I think it was in Buddhism again, where it'd be utterly awake with the six senses wide open, where the seeing, the hearing, the tasting, the touching, the smelling, the thinking are going on all the time. And isn't that a fact with you right now? Aren't they all there? But we fixate on one of them and let the others, even though they're going on, ignoring them. In that fixation, we're separating ourselves from the others. So let the utterly awake with the five senses where open, whether you're doing all those things and you're open to it all. If the seeing's going on, you're open to hearing something, and you're open to feeling something, tasting something, or touching something, or smelling something as well. But the focus is into the one, whichever we're fixating on at the moment. Be utterly awake to the five senses wide open, and be utterly open with unfixated awareness. When you're at ease, you're not stuck in the one. If there's hearing going on and something comes up which is more important, you'll focus, go into that too. And if something else comes up as well as that, you'll move to that. Where the ease of being is there, where you're not static. Where there's no static point anywhere. In that static point, we lose sight of the others. And the natural, spontaneous functioning is no longer occurring. And the fixation goes into the one to the exclusion of the others, and we're only living partially. We're not living totally. And that partial living leaves us open to fear, to insecurity, to anger, to unhappiness, to guilt, to shame, remorse, and all these sensations or feelings based on thought. Thought, feeling and emotion are one and the same thing. But we fixated on the thought, and if the feeling comes up, we fixate on the feeling. And if the emotion comes from that, which it will, we fixate on the emotion, not leaving them as they are. Leaving them as they are, where they're not fixated on any of them, aren't they free to move? What's to hold them there? What's to keep them there if I'm not fixating on them? And that's what it says, be utterly awake with the five senses wide open, and be utterly open with unfixated awareness. Unfixated, you're not fixating on anything. And what's there then? There is constant functioning, constant changing, constant moving. But there's nothing static, nothing which it can attach to. And if there's nothing to attach to, what's to detach from? If there's nothing good, where must it stay? It must move into the opposite, which we call bad, because it's not as good as the good seems. It's seeming much worse. And we've discriminated into good and bad. But to see neither is good or bad. So it's always vibrating in the opposites. What did Kipling say? Nothing, east is east and west is west, and never the twain shall meet. Mm-hmm. And there too will know that. And they disappear. There is neither east nor west, border nor breed nor birth. When two strong men come face to face, though they come from the ends of the earth, still the one essence. Been said in many different ways by many different things. And you've heard it in many different ways. Why do we persist in trying to fix the persona, the mask, the conceptual image? Because we've been told there by some who have never really understood it, you've got to meditate, you've got to do this, satsang, you've got to do this and do that, follow this and follow that. Follow your own nature. Follow your bliss. As what's her name? Who was it? Campbell's, Joseph Campbell said. Follow that essence. Be with the life that you are. See where it takes you. I'll tell you what, it's taken a hell of a lot of the troubles, dramas and traumas that were here. They're not here today. And until it was recognised, those dramas and traumas were getting worse. Each day they were reinforced, becoming worse and worse, until it moved me into recognising what already is. They call it life. Life is what you are. Not the person, not the separate entity, not the individual. They're all patterns and expressions of life, not the tree, the flower, or anything else. They're all expressions of life. And you are the life. And one of the expressions of it when Christ said, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. He was telling you what you are. And let your life so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify that essence that you are. That's enabling that life to express. And out there in nature again with the sun shining, and it's a beautiful day. What's causing that to happen? Isn't it the life expressing itself through the shining of the sun, through the disappearance of the clouds and the clarity, and making the sky, which is clear like space, blue, beautiful colour, causing things to happen. All pure being, all absolute. No room or space for any sense of any separation. But yet it is here upon us. See all the problems it's causing in the manifestation. And if it didn't pattern, shape and form in all its variety, and what could we know about it? What could we understand about it? But you can see it from its absolute, its totality. Let it go on. Let it happen. Whatever is appropriate to do will be done. Doesn't it say, thy will be done? Whose will is that? They like to say it's God's will. But what is God? God is a word. God is awareness. God is enlightenment. God is Christ or Buddha or the great reality or truth. All those different labels of that. Let that go on. All those things happen and express. You are the life. It's all life expressing itself. And it's self-shining, ever fresh, presence awareness. None of the concepts that I've believed in or heard or learned can ever fit it. And none of them are static. There's nothing static there that can say, this is where it begins. To have something to really truly believe in something and to take it as a standard to start from, where does anything start from? Does anything have a beginning? So you can see it's all endlessly transient, the whole lot of it. Never had any beginning, never had any middle, never have any ending. It's all spontaneous. And you and I and everything else in it are it. Take off the burdens of belief and the sense of separation and be what you naturally are. Being, knowing and loving to be. Isn't that so? But we get lost in all these different words. We don't realise that love has different definitions in different ways. As to say, we think love is the male-female relationship. It's not. They tell you that this word, God, another name for that is love. And if God is love, mustn't this love, the sensation that you feel, mustn't that love be God itself? So it's the same thing. And God is life. And everything in this manifestation is life. Even the so-called insentient things like mountains and rivers and things like that, they're constantly changing also. They haven't got the sentience, they haven't got the capacity of reasoning that we have. Though they're still expressions, patterns, shapes and forms of that cognising emptiness. So when I know that I am that, and don't you? Because when you look at it and believe in it, innately you do. Because you know that that's the chair you're sitting on, that's the space you're in, that's the room. Everything is already that which we put words or labels. You can see what all the problems are caused by words. Now, the capacity of reasoning, words are very useful in it, but they're self-destructive too. Because like everything else in the manifestation, it's all vibration. And words vibrate in the interrelated opposites. It's good, it's bad, it's pleasant, it's painful, happy, sad, loving, hating, here, there, high, low, past, future, present, whatever. All vibrating in the opposites. But I tell you, Shakespeare told you, there's nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. This capacity of reasoning or thinking is the problem. This argument tells you nothing can trouble you except your own imagination. Imagination broken down means image in or imagine. I image in or imagine this. I look in a mirror and what do I see? Images in the mirror. And I can see the face in me, which I call my face. I can see the face in the mirror. Now I can't say it's not there. It's only an image in the mirror, a reflection. I can't say it's not there, but if I try and grab it, all I do is grab the mirror. And have you ever seen a mirror yet that's not totally, absolutely full of reflections? Look in it. Every part of it has a reflection in it. There might be space in it, reflected, no. But the mirror is not contaminated or corrupted by any of it. None of it can touch the mirror. And the mirror is no thing when it's broken down. It's just like a clear glass that's put a background on it and seem to enable it to deflect. I can look out the mirror, out of the window of this house right now and look across the road and I'll see cars and things in the reflection of it. They get on the street opposite, but before that, what's reflected, that even the glass in the window is reflecting against the sky and reflections appear in that. So it's all reflections, and which are this manifestation. And it's all transient. Transient means constantly changing, no static point. So if I can't relate to any static point, what relationship can there be? Relationship is relativity, or dualism. And if, as they say, it's non-dual, and I am absolutely, it is now, certain it is now non-dual, where before I believed it was separate. But when I say this, it is absolutely non-dual, and all these things still appear in it, am I going to continue in the belief in them? Am I going to believe in still discriminating and taking one part of it to be real and the other part not? Or am I going to recognise it all as it is? What is means unaltered, unmodified, uncorrected. Nature itself knows, and that reflection appearing in the space, in the sounds appearing in the silence and stillness, appearing in the movement, is still going to appear seemingly so. And it's there for enjoyment. It's there for utilising it. That capacity of reasoning, let the pattern that's reasoning utilise it if it can. Instead of the pattern taking on the idea that it's separate and apart from it and it's suffering accordingly, be with it. Be with that absolute that you are. Let it function. Let it carry on. Let it do as it does. Knowing full well that I cannot negate that beingness. And if I put the label supreme, then there's a separation. But can I say, if I take the label human off it, and take the label supreme off it, and can I separate the beingness without that label? That's all that words are, labels. Labels we put on them, which can be useful but self-destructive. When I put the label on it and don't believe in it, just leave it as it is, it's lost its sting. It can be there, but it can't bite me anymore. And there is freedom, peace, and joy in that. But there was no one who has ever been freed. There's no one who has never been at peace. There was no one who has ever been joyful. But those things are natural expressions of that pure intelligence entity, that absolute. Everything pattern, shapes and forms appears and expresses through it as it. And it's life, if you like to call it that. Without that life, you're a corpse. That corpse has got eyes, ears, nose, mouth, that beautiful body or ugly body, whatever it was like. What good is it to it now? Not a bit of good for it rots, and that's that life energy. So what must you realise from that? You must realise what Christ said, I am the way, not talking about himself or yourself, but I am that sense of presence, the knowing that I am. The knowing that I am is the way. The knowing that I am is the truth. The knowing that is the life. The pure knowing, that is life. Being is life. Knowing is life. Loving to be is life. And I am that. So that'll do me for the day. So got your questions or doubts or arguments?
Okay, so go out here. Get the chair. Hello everyone.
Hello.
Hello. We got a couple of nice comments. I think it was when you were talking about the needs, the apparent needs. Barbara said that there is no reference point.
Exactly.
And even to say now is a point in time.
Yes.
It's a reference point.
If you're attached to it.
Yes.
Because as you say, now it's disappearing. Really. There's no static point anywhere. If we fixate on something and keep it there, it might seem static. But everything is constantly transient. Even to say transient is a point.
Yes.
But it's a description we're putting on something which cannot be described. The description can never be described. The map can never be the territory. And the word can never be the real. So even though we're trying to describe something right now, the description we're giving it is not it. But it's a good pointer to it. You've got the signpost down the post on the road down there, White Horse Road this way, and an arrow pointing to it. But it's only pointing to it. You're not at White Horse Road. The sign doesn't mean a thing except what it's pointing to. And when you get to what it's pointing to, you no longer need the sign. You are there. Yeah.
Yes, so I was actually going to add, but I didn't want to disturb you and throw you off your spiel. On that apparent need or seeming need, an old pointer which was so significant for me that I learned from Bob, and I didn't really hear anyone else using it, even though it's so potent. Look out in nature. Look at the animals. Do they have seeming need for security, seeming need for shelter, seeming need for even preparing for winter? They do, and life looks after it. Life gives them appropriate thought, behavior, instinct. And again, depends on the definition of thought. I would doubt that squirrel have the commentary going in the head and song sung in the background. No, it's a thought as a sort of a movement for action, instinctual movement for action.
What's appropriate in the moment?
Yes. So we humans, we also have that same sort of instinctual inspiration to act, to do appropriate things, to provide for ourselves and our youngs or our loved ones. But on top of that, we have narrative. And if the narrative is reasonable, if it uses tools of the mind like logic, and perhaps even at some point humans, the life is so complicated, you may need to do some calculations, some writing down, whatever is functional, that's totally natural. What is also natural but causes the suffering, because everything in nature is natural. There's nothing that is unnatural. There's nothing outside of nature. But what is the habit pattern which causes separation is what Barbara mentioned, the reference point. If now I run the story about me not having enough of my needs spent or secured, I'm lacking, I'm missing, then I'm creating an I and I'm creating an imaginary situation. And then out of the natural functioning, we have the subject, object, and the story between them. And that story causes suffering, that story debilitates because it drains you from the energy. And now instead of doing whatever is appropriate, like Bob was saying about perhaps finding another job or finding another ways to provide for yourself or secure the safety, which would be coming out from natural instinctual functioning, I drain myself by obsessing and beating myself up and coming up with the story how I'm not living to my full potential, or I'm not fulfilling or failing expectations, or I'm never gonna be safe or enough, and all that we know so well, the stories that basically instead of bringing any solution to the situation or being part of constructive functioning, they basically just cause suffering, cause unnecessary suffering. So thank you for that question, Catherine and James. This is really good question to look and contemplate it, because in our own functioning we can address any need we want and see.
It was?
That was 20 minutes ago.
It was?
Catherine and James.
James,
yes. Okay, so let's move to the other one. I see you have enough. Johannes, when there is no one there is no one in control to be open awareness or not. Even apparent contradiction might happen or not. Yeah.
Nobody out there rolling the earth around the sun when it's happening.
That's right.
No one earth forming a cloud. No one out there forming a cloud is happening.
No.
Bringing it down as rain.
That's right. Yeah, and a good observation, yes, because we use a limitation of the language, and this is, I think, when you use the sort that seems almost like an advice or prescription what people should do. Be open. Do you have any choice to be open? Of course not. There is no you to be open. And a good observation, good to point it out. Yes, it is a paradox in the language. It is a paradox in pointing, in speaking. We say stay open or stay utterly awake. There is no one there to stay open or to stay utterly awake. There is no one there to keep 5 senses wide open. There may be an illusion of someone there, but that illusion have no power, no control, nothing whatsoever. So why do we even say it? Well, because somewhat the resonance may bring up the similar vibration in the other body, and inspiration might cause the mirroring, might cause really, right, So even though there is nobody speaking to nobody, it's just the one talking to itself, the I am that I am. Who sent you? You want to tell that story?
No.
No, Bob is speaking about the story of Moses on the mountain, where he was bringing up all those tablets for his people, look after them. And he knew that they're not gonna just accept it on the word. He needed a good story. So he was thinking, well, what am I gonna tell them? Who sent me? Who sent you? And then this still inner voice said, I am sent you. Tell them that I am, the God or whoever, that I am. Yahweh, I am that I am sent you. And he realized I am that I am. Of course, who isn't? And at the same time, there is nobody who isn't. So that, yes, language is good to laugh. Thank you, Johannes. And Tanya, the idea that this single body is me is seemingly reinforced by parents, schools, teacher, family, and friends. But how is it known that this single body is me? Thought, idea is not knowing. Without the thought, word, there is no single body that is me. Could it be that everything is me and there is no actual separation?
That's what we're saying all the time.
Beautiful.
There is no separation anywhere. There's no static. How can you separate something if you can't find a static point to relate to, a centre? Everything has to start from a point.
Yes.
There any static point in nature?
Nope.
No.
And I like what you said, Tanya, that was that a nice sentence. Thought, idea is not knowing. That's brilliant. Yeah, having a thought or holding on to a thought or even entertaining a thought or whatever, just thinking, is not really knowing, it's believing. Thinking is believing. It's not a knowledge. That's beautiful.
Well, there's an innate intelligence that's knowing, not the thought.
Yeah.
Thought I know.
Yeah. And your shirt got a lot of recognition. It was Julia's gift for Christmas. And now mine got too. My beautiful yellow dress, Barbara says, I like yellow, it's so sunny. Rohan, the story has no substance apart from the me that seems to be at its center. Without me, whose story would it be? Great point. Absolutely.
So that me becomes a static point, doesn't it?
That's right.
Seemingly so. Everything is relative to me or I.
Right. Yeah.
Relationship is duality.
Yeah.
Relative to. Without I, can there be any other?
Yeah, well, there is a theoretical possibility of entertaining the story, let's say, of the origin of the universe, or Big Bang, or God. But that story wouldn't have happened if it wasn't relevant to any me that wanted to know.
Tell me, which animal, bird or insect knows about the Big Bang?
There you go. Yeah.
And what they know, a lot of them wouldn't really know about yesterday. They're getting on with life as it is right now.
Yes. And how do they worry about security for old age or retirement?
Well, naturally, the bears and that are going to hibernate will start, and animals will start to collect food for it if the food's there.
Yes.
If, as it is in the Arctic right now, ice age is melting, and they can't get the sufficient supplies to store up so they can hibernate.
No.
They're going to die out.
And they extinct, and they do. And that's also natural, part of nature. Having a human parasite on this planet. I'm kidding. JB, thank you so much to you both. I love what is being said, especially regarding the labeling being and abstraction to realizing reality. Much love. Oh, wonderful that you actually hear it. That's so rewarding. Yes, it is really as simple as that, labeling and separating through assuming costumes or roles or masks. Amarnath, story, analogy, language needed till our separate ego center is not transcended. Yeah, we can still love the stories with all our hearts, knowing that they are just part of Maya, without unconditionally taking them to be reality. That's the appreciation of the human part of the whole dream. And Rox, thank you for the beautiful reminder today. Love you both. We love you too. Have to catch up. Roxanne.
Oh, yeah.
And I wonder, that is where we are. I'll see if I got any screenshots from the earlier ones. Yeah, we've seen this one. And we've seen this one. That's it. Yeah.
So basically, just be at ease.
Yes.
Rest easy. Relax. Abide as that.
And again, you're speaking to no one. There is no one there to choose to be at ease or not at ease. But that is to cause the resonance.
There again, you juggle the words around.
Yes.
Ease of being, or being at ease. Awareness of being, or being aware.
Cameron says, that shirt, rocking that shirt, old man. Yeah, Sharna was saying you look like a hipster.
Thank you, Kim.
Cool. And Amarnath, hollowness, free of concepts, is
What?
holiness, let it's full. Hollowness,
Yeah.
free of concepts, is holiness, yet
Yeah.
is full.
Yeah.
My emptiness is full, Nisargadatta says.
Yeah.
God is asking, is the subjectivity existing? Subjectivity existing. Not as an object.
Subject-object is duality.
Yeah. Yeah, when we say even subjectivity is a pointer to the direct experiencing of the existence. But does it exist as an object? Of course not, it can't. It's a pointer to what's right now, what's undeniably there. So you can say it exists, because I can't say that subjectivity of direct existence is...
What is subjectivity?
Yeah.
A word.
Yeah, it is a word, yeah.
Just a label we put on what we believe is one end of the stick.
Yes. Yeah, but it's a good question. This stuff always is never enough to clear it up, because this is always coming back to the words, to the labels. Does subjectivity exist as something apart and separate from the environment? Of course not. Nothing's apart and separate from anything. As a concept, does it exist? Well, it does. As an object, does it exist? No, it doesn't. As an experience, direct experience, well, then you have to answer.
As I was saying earlier, and Kipling says there is neither east nor west, border nor breed nor birth. Absolutely nowhere, which broken down means now here.
Yes. Barbara, does the words love and hate carry a different vibration?
Well, everything is vibrating, but how can vibration be different? What is it?
Yeah. Well, you can say that the crow is different to magpie, and the sound of the word.
Well, it's all sound, which is a vibration, which is a movement of energy. That's all.
But I do know, I think I do know what you're asking. I mean, does the vibrational energy, perhaps not just word, because word, you know, I can tell you those words in Polish and you will not know which one is which. So whether the words, the sound carries any sort of an emotional vibration, I doubt it does. Only the meaning
Well, it
that
does
you recognize.
stirs up the physical.
Yeah, but if I tell you in Polish language, you wouldn't know which one is which. But if you actually go to the word and you take a meaning of the word into the heart, and that word and its meaning will reflect the emotion in it. It will steer the emotion.
Yeah.
Then you can tell they're chemically different. You know, the cortisol is chemically different to serotonin and dopamine. It's but then again, you know, in a base, as the essence is one. It's just a different music to it, or different sort of a taste or flavor, or different speed of vibration maybe, or frequency, or but it's still the same. Does they carry a different vibration?
Oh, how different can vibration be?
Yeah, if you compare the ultraviolet with infrared, they're different for the eye.
Yeah, different for the eye, different seeming to it. It's only movement.
It's only movement, yeah. Catherine, thank you for your wonderful answers to my question on security. James has wanted me to ask questions, and I'm so glad I did. James Seltzer sends his love to you both. Remember, any maintenance you need on your home, he's happy to offer his time. Let's catch up and have lunch. We will talk. And now, Megan, my silence sings.
My emptiness is full. Beautiful.
Beautiful. And Henya, hello Bob and Kat, sending you both much love. Oh, nice to hear from you, Henya. That's your Skype friend.
Love to you.
Yes. And Rohan, I was thinking about what Bob says about the clouds obscuring the sun as an analogy for thoughts obscuring our real nature. I realize that it is not the case that the clouds block the sun at all. We are actually in space, but looking down towards the clouds. If we are looked up towards the sun, then the clouds would not be seen at all. Yeah, we use that analogy. I like that too. When you imagine yourself to be a tiny little ant on a planet rolling around with that atmosphere, whatever 10,000 kilometers clouds can be, and
use that
a few hundred too.
Use that analogy, like the cloud of thought seemingly blocks the pure awareness, but the awareness is what it all appears in.
That's right.
Like the sun is what the clouds appear in.
Yeah.
It's all one. It's might be seemingly blocked, but it never is.
You're not even in the space, you are the space. So the planet and the sun and the clouds, tiny little layer around that globe, all appear in what you are. So yes, how could that make any difference to what you truly are? But if you imagine, because of the cloud of thought, to be a little speck of dust on that tiny little ball rolling in the galaxies, well, seemingly the sunlight, seemingly the sky is lost. And that's how suffering really feels authentic, how real it is. You can't laugh at it when you see someone in a point of devastation, because it breaks your heart.
Though it's seemingly blocked, like if the sun wasn't there couldn't be a cloud anyway. If the awareness wasn't there, there couldn't be a thought or a feeling or emotion.
Yes, yes, and that's what Rohan was pointing at, that analogy about sun creating the clouds, the life creating the imaginary self and the thinking and the suffering.
But there's nothing created. Creation means something's last, seemingly solid or real. But it's all appearance.
Yeah, you can say creating and destructing, like this Vishnu, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, creator, destructor and sustainer. An object can't have an answer on subjectivity, God says. Object cannot have an answer on subjectivity.
No.
Yeah, good point. Object can't even experience subjectivity. That's objectivity is also a concept only.
Yeah. So is the subjectivity.
So, yes.
No static point.
And now Amarnath asking whether words, love and hate, carry different vibration. Words are only letters, no meaning until we infuse meaning to them by concepts, conditioning. Yet origin is vibrationless.
Yeah.
Good, yeah. Good way to put it.
Good.
And Amarnath commenting on object can have answer on subjectivity. Both subject and object are concept. Separation does not exist in our existence, awareness.
That is correct.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually like that little spin you had today on God is love, love is God. You often said that, but today you actually brought a little bit of an aspect. Say, whenever you feel that love, you feel the godliness, you feel the aliveness. That's a beautiful, beautiful little distinction in it, because it is how much more we experience the energy surge, the aliveness, the love of being, the bliss of being when we are in love. And it doesn't matter what's the seeming object of love, but just whenever that sensation of love, like you use the male, female, but it doesn't matter, be it a pet, be it a pizza. But that, how close are we to natural
There's a lot of
state?
importance put into this male-female relationship. That's what, you know, a lot of the psychological problems come about because of that.
Yes. And Barbara says, life is chaos, chaotic, yet there seems to be order.
Nothing ever happens, so how could there be anything other?
Yeah, it is as it is, and see how many different interpretations we can put on it. When we set our mind to see the chaos, the probability, we will see the chaos. And then we see the cycles, we see the patterns, cycles of seasons, or cycles of days and nights, and even menstruation cycle, all of the all life cycles.
That's the phenomenal manifestation. Definition of phenomena, that which appears to be.
Yeah.
And all appearing to be so, but it's nothing. No thing has ever happened.
That's right. Dear Bob, do you take on dispassion and discrimination, please? Do you take on dispassion and discrimination?
You'll take on?
Yeah. Are you resolved to practice it?
No. No. How can the absolute stand anywhere?
Yeah.
It appears, it all appears, again, phenomenally, that which appears to be. The space out there, I'm looking out the window now, the space is full of things happening out there. Cars going by, I think birds flying around in the sky. You can't say it's not.
No.
But you can't say it is either, like the reflections in the mirror.
Everything is interdependent on something else.
And when you are Armanath, about dispassion and discrimination, when there is no self that tries to control things, that tries to resolve things or follow the practice or advice, you may find out that when the dispassion is needed, dispassion will be what is in tune with life. Or when the discrimination is needed, it is also, because when you look at the animals again, they actually know which fig is rotten and which one is not. They'll go for the rotten to get a little high. Apparently they do that. And yes, so when the dispassion and discrimination is required, it shows up without needing to somehow impose it on the situation.
As Banky says, everything is perfectly resolved in the unborn mind. Call it the unborn mind without the conceptualizing going on. The meaning that nature itself resolving itself. Who takes a stance anywhere that the seeming stance might be taken, placed by a so-called me, but what is me other than nature?
Yep.
And nature resolves itself.
Now, God, wanting to control everything in life, is what is obstructing me from concept. Wanting to control everything in life is what is obstructing me from concepts. Direct seeing. Oh yes, rather direct seeing. Yes, wanting to control is obstructing you rather from direct seeing than from concepts, because concepts will go on as you want to control things. In fact, wanting to control things is always in the narrative.
And wanting to control things, the seeing's there first.
Yes.
For that idea of trying to control your seeing or knowing.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that seeing is basically obstructed by obsessing about being in charge. And direct seeing is very, very simple. It's so simple. That's why they call it non-conceptual awareness. Awareness without thinking. That's it. There is nothing more to it. That's so simple. And if you stay more in that non-conceptual awareness, that beautiful bubbling life comes in the foreground. That sweetness of being, a love of being. But the concepts come so fast, and the concepts are usually obsessing about me now, or me in the past, or me in the future, and me being in charge, me influencing others, me influencing myself, deciding for my life or for my food. Always me, self-obsession. So if that conceptualizing, that narrative with obsessing about me is ignored, see how life does everything anyway, how life gets you up, how life moves you to the bathroom for a walk or anywhere. The narrative may do whatever it wants. Life knows its drill. It's enough to just look at the animals. They don't have narrative and they live fully. And we here. Beautiful eternal behind ephemeral. Eternal behind eternal, I think it should be. Amarnath says here.
Eternal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
And Henya, what is your opinion on working with chemistry of the brain by using medication to assist in mood stabilization? Like if you have depression and you take...
Well, get your medicos and scientists and all that, they'll know more about it than what I would.
Yeah, good answer. Yeah, ask people who have a lot more information on this one.
I can't tell you anything or teach you anything.
Yeah, and also I would say that for some reason life has taken a lot of attention into developing all those mood assisting drugs. life is the only intelligence. For some reason, it found it necessary.
And it's the same life that's living, the scientists and those that, whatever they are, physicians that know, have looked into it and understand a little bit more about it.
Yeah. So it's nothing either good or bad.
No.
Yeah, there are situations where, like, I have the cousin who's got schizophrenia. She absolutely needs her drugs. There is no question about it. And there are also people who use the drugs because, I don't know, they were moved to do, or that is, who knows, maybe there would be alternative solutions. And if they would be, maybe life will move them this way. It is always spontaneous and natural.
I know that it's constantly changing. They're improving on these things and looking into them, improving on them.
Yeah.
Some are not.
And that's also natural. One could say that chemical is unnatural, but what does it even mean, unnatural? All ingredients, most chemical, even like aspartame chemical, false sweeteners, which have nothing of a plant-derived sort of a sweetness in it. It's still natural because all the...
Nothing separate from the absolute.
Yeah, all is nature. And Amarnath, controller or efforts is mind. Effortless, spontaneous, thoughtless awareness.
Spontaneous.
Yes. I'm struggling with that little chair. Making my legs die. Okay, now, could you say something about cause-effect? Johannes asked. Cause-effect. It is also just an appearance, or is there everything uncaused?
Yeah.
Well,
me is the cause of all my problems. That believed in entity is the cause. And the effects are from that believing in that cause. Anxiety, fear, depression, guilt, shame, remorse, all those things are the effects of the cause me.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm not relating, if I see that the me, the believed in me is false, then I've taken the cause away. Well, simply, can there be an effect without a cause?
Yeah. It can't.
Can't. So they cancel each other out. And leaves it just as it is.
Yes, and this is actually a brilliant spin that, again, I only heard Bob figured it out. Brilliant spin on the on everything is uncaused, or it has multitude, infinite amount of causes, except from the human suffering, which has one singular cause, the me, the belief in a separate entity there running a show. If that is not there, the psychological suffering is not there. But everything else, like, what's the cause for the weather? The cause for the weather is not a singular event. It is an infinite amount of factors that cause the weather today. Or cause for the political situation in your country. It's absolutely not one single event. You can make yourself believe, or cause for the mental illness in someone. You can make yourself believe that there is a singular trauma somewhere, and you just go down into that point and you reverse that point, and the health will come back. But even making yourself believe is already a secondary cause. And this is brilliant. I see it. A lot of different therapies goes into narrowing down to a singular cause and believing it so badly that when they remove it, it works. Like, you may make yourself believe that a cause of your anxiety is a trauma when you were 7, or it is the need for separation, or the need for approval. And now you pinpoint down, you put all your faith into that idea, and then you discard it, or you release it, and you're free. But that's all dreaming.
All interdependent.
Yes.
Like when your parents came together, what was the cause of that?
Exactly, that's a good one.
And out of that, you came,
Yes.
and and from that, you and I coming together years later. What was the cause of that?
Incredible. Yeah. If you look back at and seeking the cause and see the odds, that's why they call it uncaused or spontaneous. And we had Dee last week with us, and he put out the idea that, hey, but the science says that if I stub my toe today, you could trace back the events that the whole universe was bringing together, including every hair on my great aunt's head cut down on whatever, the infinite amount of causes that you could actually say that this stubbing a toe in the morning was inevitable. And it is a really good analogy to blow your mind, although of course it contains the concept of time, which is another thought. Because me stubbing my toe in the morning is not the thousands of years of universe conspiring for it, because the thousands of years of universe conspiring for it has been created right in this moment and projected back. So this moment is the only time that ever is. And the time is mind. The mind enters the picture and adds the story. Like I was telling, this was really funny today in the morning. I was visiting my very, very dear enlightened friend Bruce, who we always chat when I help him out. And I was telling him about the accident I had on the sort of a desert motorbike crash, and then I was driving with some investigator. I told him it was last night, so for some reason he actually didn't get it was a dream. And the details of the dream, the preparation for that competition, and then I'm the last person to compete with anyone. I love cooperation. I'm totally against all sorts of competitions, just completely feminine brain. And I was probably a young man in that sort of a dream, driving a bike, and fast motorbike. And where is the past of that dream happening? When I was describing the situation to Bruce, more and more details was coming up. The past didn't, but if I was inviting it, this equipment, we call it brain, this incredible neural network of connections, is the greatest improviser ever seen.
And that's not a bit of good to you without the life going through.
That's right. But if you have the question and you need the answer, and the question is about the dream, or the question is about the cause of something, and you don't have it, just see how quickly that answer will be made up, and how convincing it will come. How it will is a great improviser. That's why all the hypnotherapy sessions, find the extraterrestrial visits 3 generations ago, or whatever you can imagine that improvising machinery will come up with just to give you an answer. That's something to marvel. Cause and effect. Okay, Rohan says, I think Amarnath meant ephemeral as in transient. Kat? Yeah, I thought so too. It was, was it eternal is ephemeral?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought I read it once like this. Anyway, controller Amarnath, or efforts is mind, effortless, spontaneous, thoughtless awareness. Yes, we've been there, and now what is your opinion on working with chemistry? Rox replies on it. All part of the functioning of totality. They have their place. Absolutely. Yeah. In chemistry, there is an interesting thing. Like in dreams, it's full of dream substance. Similarly, in waking state, it's full of oneself becoming many. Sometimes called this as turiya. Chemistry, that was Amarnath. In chemistry, there is an interesting thing. Like in dream, it's full of dream substance. Similarly, in waking state, is full of oneself becoming many, sometimes called this as Turiya. Yeah, that chemistry is the same oneself showing itself in different form, and in dream state is the same oneself showing yet as a different form. Makes it so simple, it's just one. And Tanya, so without a me, there would be no anxiety, fear about what food is eaten or how much is eaten, for example. Without the me, there would be no anxiety or...
No, there would be no anxiety, but it might be not spontaneous cognising or knowing what to eat.
And then, if there is no me, if the thought still comes up, oh, I shouldn't be eating this, or this is not good for me, or if the thought comes up, but that thought is not related to the me, that thought doesn't cause that adverse effect. It doesn't cause the self-hatred or punishment or guilt or shame. The thought may still come up, but if it's not related, this thought is functional. I mean, I've overdosed the chocolate last night, and I kind of heard the thought, yeah, this is gonna end up badly, and yeah, I said thank you. I wanted to end up badly because today I won't eat any chocolate. And yeah, so look, Tanya, at those thoughts as something that is completely harmless and actually helpful and actually to be appreciated. Or give it a smile. Henya, thank you for your comments, Rox and Amarnath. And yeah, we thank you too. And Julia, every time I have ever noticed myself holding on for more than a toddler would, when I noticed that that there was some identifying happening, and ask, who cares? The conditioned belief in a me is revealed and vanishes with the investigation.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Good on you, Julia.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a nice idea. I like that. When I notice that I'm holding on to something longer than a toddler. A toddler would. Yeah, toddlers can hold on to something sometimes, so you are allowed to have a little bit of a, of a slack. Especially if it's a nice toy. And Amarnath, mind equals time. Beautiful cat. And a nice...
Time is mind, yeah.
Time is mind, yes.
Mind is time.
And Monica says, thanks, cat, something to marvel. A lot, yes, there's a lot to marvel in this beautiful appearance. And Julia, you overdosed on chocolate, cat? I'm shocked. Of course it was sugar-free and, dairy-free, but still, it kept me high all night. That's so many dreams on... God, I don't know how to formulate it, intuitively needs or whatever things to add in life or to experience is false. Intuitively needs or whatever things to add in life or to experience is false. Even enlightenment is not a happening or an experience. For who?
That's right.
Great questions. Great insights.
Always
right.
as it is.
Yes.
It's just another label, enlightenment.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. Yes, that you're seeing it. That's it. They are all stories that may be attractive, may be distracting, or may be motivating. People make goals of those things and strive to achieve it and give themselves years of austerities and practices and self-torture and stuff. It's just because of the belief. And when you see through, there's no one there to experience, to whatever things to add in life. Yeah. Amarnath, Bob was shown in blossoming flower. In that photo, really, I like that beauty in reality. Yes, your all pervasiveness is felt in
And the heart is the core or essence of the spirit,
Yes.
the knowing. Spiritual essence, if you like to use that term. Core of being, centre. Not a self-centre.
Yeah, not a physical heart. Tanya, thank you, Bob and Kat. The sting goes out of the thoughts about food if it is not related to a me, yes. See, these thoughts are just thoughts and harmless, like you say. Beliefs about food and exercise have been hanging around for an apparently long time when all along they were harmless and I could have blown them a little kiss. Yeah, I think blowing them a little kiss is so fair because, look, that's your value of health. How wonderful, how loving it is to look after that vehicle, that costume, the best you can. That's another expression of love. Just, yeah, blow them a kiss. And Barbara, can you love someone without attachment? Do you feel attached, Bob?
No. What's the test? A natural merging, natural coming together.
Yeah, attachment is a concept. When you look the way dogs get attached to their owners, and then when the owner passes away, the dog goes and dies on their grave. We could anthropomorphize that the dog get attachment, he should study Buddhism, and he should not allow itself. It is part of nature that the dog reacts in this way. Same way, you know, when you have the cow and they have a little baby and the baby is killed for the cow to keep giving milk, the cow is experiencing the hormonal storm in the body. And that storm is uncomfortable. There are tears running down its cheeks. One could say, oh, that's the attachment. But on the chemical basis, there is a different explanation to it.
Just like in nature, you've got a magnet. So put some iron filings down there.
Yeah.
What it'll do, it'll draw them to itself naturally.
Yes.
And the switch will go to the other end, it'll repel them, push them away.
Yes. And Amelia, simply beautiful. I'm missing you in Australia very much. Hopefully we'll see you again sometime soon. That would be great. Amelia, Paul's Hederman's partner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Good to see you here.
Love to Paul.
Love to Paul.
And to you.
And to you, of course. To you even more. Paul was complaining that everybody loves Amelia more. Well, perhaps she deserved it. No, everything's one. Yeah, a beautiful pattern and a funny pattern and a smart pattern and every pattern. Thank you, Bob. That makes sense. Attract and repulse. Yeah.
Sound stops, silence comes in.
Yes.
Doesn't take long.
And Rox, food anxiety can be a strong trigger. Many share that. I would say also, show yourself great love and kindness with this. Good point.
Be warm towards yourself. Love
That's
yourself.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine what a first world problem. Having too much food and eating the wrong things or overeating. My gosh, 1,000 years ago people were starving. I mean, even today there are people starving. Yes, definitely, show yourself a lot of empathy with that. God, so if seemingly I think others are harming me, it's uncaused or infinite causes. Yeah. Even the idea of harm comes from the conditioning, the definition, the understanding.
The basic point If there's no me, can there be any other?
Yeah.
But back to non-duality,
Mm-hmm.
which is absolutely no duality in non-duality. Who can it happen to? It's just, if the happening is going on, it's just what is.
Yeah. And yeah, and it is a part of life. When you look at any life, it contains everything, day and night, pain and pleasure. It can go without the story, or it can go with extreme resilience to it and seeing how it unfolds. And I do hope and wish that nobody's harming you, and if they do, then see their innocence, how even their behavior is uncaused. I mean, people become bullies because they are afraid. They don't want to ever fear again, and that's not their fault. Or people develop addictions. It's nobody's fault. Amarnath, there is harmony behind disharmony. Beautiful. And a lot of hearts. It's impersonal and uncaused. That's it. Yes. And Tanya says, thank you so much, Rox, for bringing the love and compassion. Yes, that is such a good point. Thank you. And Amarnath, me equals others. Beautiful pointer, Bob.
Yeah.
Me equals others. You said if there is no me, there is no other. And Rohan, Bob, seeing that there is no me is the same as the me expanding to include all there is and not just being confined to this one body, right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. Although, yes, that is one of my favorite Nisargadatta quotes, which says that me can be small, me and my can be small and selfish, or it can expand and include the universe.
Expand it and take it in, yeah.
Include the whole universe, or multiverses. Yes. You can also say this one is right. You can also say this one is wrong, because it is the absence of identification. Can I get it? Okay, let's go back. Let's go back. Yes, so it really, the expansion, the idea of expanding identification till everything is included and nothing is excluded, collapses the identification. So there are two ways of collapsing the...
Who is it?
Come on.
Who was it?
Someone who doesn't know that you have the meetings. Or probably the scammers. They always call. Yeah. Oops. Okay, so I guess I won't be expanding on it. Expanding on identification or actually dropping off any idea or all idea of identifying as anything at all, because who is there to identify as me or as bigger me or as greater me or as infinitely large me? The identification, the idea of drawing or assuming is just an idea that could be dropped, and yet still in that the presence can't be denied. So I do really like that quote. But you can, as everything in a language, you can take the opposite. It is and it isn't. It is true and it is not. It exists and it doesn't. And now God says we are multidimensional being. Multidimensional being. We are being. Yeah, you can say infinite.
Pure being.
Yeah.
Pure being, total being, absolute being.
Infinite, infinitely dimensional, infinite. And Rox, I got lost with a strong emotional trigger last few days. That too is part of the functioning of totality, and I love that too. That is exactly right. That's so beautiful.
Love
Yes.
all of it, do none of it.
That's it. love all of it or none of it. Yes, see how emotional trigger can throw overboard a cat, I can tell you. Bring a dog and emotional trigger. Thanks Bob and Kat, beautiful session as always. Thank you Rohan, thank you for your contribution. It is the self-calling, Cha says.
It was.
Cha. And now Tas, I was running around looking for the home phone here and I don't have one. And Amarnath, love says I'm everything, wisdom says I'm nothing. Nisargadatta Maharaj, in between river of life flows. That's so beautiful. That's the second favorite of first whatever on Nisargadatta on love. Tanya, thank you so much. Every lovely expressions of one essence. Lovely to hear so much clarity. It is so beautiful. I have no words to express my gratitude to you, Bob and Kat, and all that give such great input. Love to you all.
Yes.
And thank you, dear Bob and Kat, from Sally and from John and Alvaro. Lots of love, appreciation for this wonderful and liberating teaching. And greetings to Paul. Just hear his talk and shared to Bob, and heard his talk and shift to Bob. Johannes, he just visited Paul. Paul is having online talk, obviously. Yes. And Johannes says, thank you, Bob and Kat. Also, we have thank you messages. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for being there
Thank
with
you.
us.
The same sentiments here, that what's being put in coming from the same others.
Yeah, reflected back. That is everything. That is priceless. The joy that it brings to us to see that it really brings liberation and joy and freedom is
so instead of being confined to the trap of selfishness, it expands to the stars, to the totality. Okay, love you all.
Yeah, love you all. Thank you very much.